Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where we are in the studium to start one of the crafter role quests, namely the Metalworker role quest. Professor Rurusha's new friend. Dear me, what am I to do? I tried to think how the professor would react if I returned without a... oh, sorry, you startled me. I don't suppose you would happen to be a craftswoman, would you? I am. Brilliant. Please, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Boric, and I'm here under the employ of a professor at the studium. Professor Rurusha, to be precise. She works in the field of archaeology and is deeply invested in the restoration of relics. I've been tasked with finding someone capable of helping with her most recent project. Needless to say, I first asked our colleagues at the studium itself for their aid, but I was told in no uncertain terms that our so-called relic was mere refuse. Frankly, between the two of us, to my untrained eye, it appears to be little more than a shabby ornament or child's toy. The professor, meanwhile, is convinced that it is unique and of great value. And far be it for me to question her. Few archaeologists have had as much success as she, but I digress. Would you be willing to at least meet with the professor and hear more about our work? Let me have a look at the relic. So you're willing to meet her then? Excellent. Thank you so much. She ought to be somewhere here in the studium. I don't imagine it will take too long to find her. Oh dear, here's Professor Namono, come to tell off the professor once again. Honestly, I've never seen such foolishness. Why, hello there. Terribly sorry, but I'm rather busy at the moment. Can it wait until later? Perhaps you wouldn't be quite so busy if you weren't wasting time on what is clearly little more than rubbish. You do realize that there are limits to our funding and facilities, don't you? The faculty cannot afford to waste time on projects that show little to no merit. Honestly, I think you're overreacting, Professor. I have a good feeling about this relic, you know? Feeling? I was not aware we had decided to rely on feelings over common sense now. If I were you two, I'd spend my time on anything other than helping this crazed crone with her work. Sorry about that. You must be wondering what you've walked into. It seems Professor Namono is having a rather bad day. Wait a minute. You wouldn't happen to be an artisan, would you? She is indeed, Professor. What's more, she's kindly agreed to hear more about her work, which is why I brought, come to think of it, I don't think I ever asked your name. Desiree. It's Desiree Klingel. Well, Desiree, thank you for coming all this way to talk to an excitable old lady. I'm Rurusha, a humble professor of archaeology. You've doubtless heard of from Boric that we are attempting to restore a relic of sorts. I suppose it then falls upon me to explain our situation in a little more detail. But first let us make our way to the workshop. It will be much easier to explain things to you there. I'm not sure I know anyone scarier than Professor Namono. Of course, he is highly capable. The fact that he's become a professor despite being younger than myself is proof of that. Although the fact remains that he's so passionate about work that he is somewhat hard to approach. The work that presently occupies my time is the restoration of this peculiar piscine-faced relic. Its design calls to mind the stories of Saint Diata, which is why I've taken to calling it the Golden Diata in her honor. It was brought to us by one of our gleaners. From what I understand, the excavation whence they found it was an independent venture, and considering its otherwise lackluster appearance, those of a similar mind to Professor Namono have been quick to write it off as rubbish. However, I believe it to be a type of mammet. A mammet? I do not wish to sound imprudent, Professor, but do you really think that thing could be a mammet? To my eyes, it looks like an ornament designed to resemble a bird or a fish. Next you'll be saying it can take to the skies like an airship. For all we know, it might well do that. And yes, I'm quite certain that Golden Diata is a mammet. Doesn't look like much like your standard Uldan mammet, I grant you that, but its innards are no less complex. We just need to get it fixed, and it's bound to start moving. I know it. What's more, I've got a special feeling about this one. Something tells me it possesses special abilities. Another one of your special feelings? Wonderful. In any case, this is where I need your help, Desiree. The relic might not seem in a bad state from its outer appearance, but its insides are a mess. There appears to be little that can be salvaged, so it will be your duty to create replica parts that match all the broken ones housed within. I would be forever grateful to you should you decide to help us. I'm just champing at the bit to find out what secrets lurk within this little old thing. Wonderful, I knew I could count on you the moment you arrived. You've made an old woman very happy, Desiree. Thank you. Let's go to work. Now then, let's get down to business. I'd like you to begin by working on the exterior. Though I see no signs of erosion, something, possibly one of the dislodged parts, has done considerable damage to its insides. But I won't do to work on the interior and its complex parts without first ensuring the shell housing them is sound. That said, I have no doubt you need to prepare a few things before you get to work. Let me know when you feel ready to get started. Faculty of Archeology, studium deliveries unlocked. I'm so glad you're helping the professor. Admittedly, I'm still not sure this relic is worth restoring, but I could never bring myself to leave her to toil away with no aid. Hello again, Desiree. Are you ready to begin? I am. Wonderful to hear. I'd like you to start by crafting gold plating. You needn't worry about fitting it to the relic, though. I will handle that. You may now undertake deliveries for the Faculty of Archeology. Bring the items to Rurusha. Okay, but I take a short cut because I need to gather materials. This one on the class quest, studiums, gold plating, and everything else that will come up in this quest line. Alright, I got materials. So, let's get crafting. Good. Professor Rurusha, pray let me know when you've made your plating. Great work. I can see you're a fine craftswoman indeed. Thank the gods for sending you our way. Truly splendid work. Our elephant is looking so much better already. Oh, it feels like watching my own child growing up. But you are here to help means more than you know. I'm glad to see you in such high spirits, Professor. Truly I am, but is it really wise of us to use the entirety of our remaining budget on this project? Oh boy, lighten up. Have I ever steered you wrong in the past? Well, I suppose not. Even so, you must forgive me if I feel uneasy seeing our coffers so thoroughly emptied. Better that the money is used and left together dust, I say. Well, I do agree that being miserly serves little purpose. The opposite extreme may not be the best approach. Well, there's no need for you to fret, Desiree. I've set aside more than enough scripts to see you duly compensated for your efforts. Thank you. But enough talk of boring old financial matters. I believe it's time for us to start working our little friend's insides. However, know that this will be an altogether more difficult process than reinforcing its exterior. Let me know when you feel up to the task. Rurusha is pleased with her efforts. She now considers you a rookie relic restorer. We find ourselves in dire straits financially these days. Honestly, I do wish the professor would learn to be a bit more prudent with our funds. Gears of gold. Why, hello there. Oh, thank the gods you're here. I was so worried we might not return that I couldn't focus on my work. Why? Honestly, Boric, show a little faith. Desiree doesn't strike me as someone who'd go back on her word. My apologies, I didn't mean anything by it. It's just that we've been turned down by so many others. As you probably worked out by now, Boric has a penchant to worry far more than he has any right to. Please, don't take anything he says too seriously. Okay, I will. But that's enough of that for now. It's time we go back to discussing our little friend's roles. This time I would ask you to craft minuscule cogs made of gold. While examining the insides of a relic, I discovered it was missing some, which seems to have caused all the damage we've observed. Whatever you make will need to be tough as a curl. Are you up to the task? Well, okay, it's a game. I just push it onto game, yeah? But that would not be enough information to actually make them, because you need to know things like how large is minuscule in this case, and how far apart are the teeth, and so on and so forth. You would need some measurements. Sounds like hard work, but... Oh, it's great to know I can always count on you. Best of luck! Good. Since I already got more stuff. A cog that fits inside that relic is going to be absurdly tiny. It's quite impressive technology when you consider it from the third astral era and not Allagan in origin. I have every confidence your work will be immaculate. Indeed, I very much look forward to seeing what you can do. Solid work as always. Look at the detail too. It's obvious you stand head and shoulders above your peers. The cogs are a perfect fit. Now I would be happy if she decided to move for us. The golden diata flinches ever so slightly, however it soon returns to its former static state. It appears you still have work to do. Oh, well done, little one. We'll have you moving properly in no time, don't worry. Well done. It merely flopped on the table like a dead fish. This hardly calls for celebration. I'm growing increasingly worried that this will all come to nothing, and your reputation will end up in tatters. Oh, calm down, Boric. Lest you forget this relic was found buried with the body of what appeared to be a mage, possibly of some repute. That tomb also contained a range of tools used by those highly skilled in the arcane arts. I'm positive that this mammet possesses great power. Well, if you're discussing what it could be, I would say it could just as easily be a trinket or charm they kept in their possession. And let's not forget the shady stories we heard about the gleaner who sold it to you in the first place. How are we meant to trust someone with a track record of peddling counterfeit wares? Boy, how many times have I told you not to hold others' pasts against them? Everyone is capable of change, and I for one remain convinced that this relic is worthy of study. It is true that the gleaner's livelihood depends on their ability to discern what is a forgery and what is the genuine article, but no one is without error, not even me. If our little friend here does turn out to be fake, it simply means I've made one such error. Nothing more, nothing less. Although I don't believe for a moment that I've done so. After all, who will believe in me if I don't believe in myself? That's not to say I think myself infallible, mind you. Putting that aside for the moment, I shall examine our friend here and see if I can determine what problem yet remained. When next you have time to spare, Desiree, pray seek us out, and we will set about making further repairs. Rurusha is delighted with your efforts. She now considers you a reasonable relic restorer. I do think there's some merit in restoring the Golden Diata, but I'm not sure it's worth earning the ire of our colleagues. Rubbished research. Desiree, lovely to see you again. I do hope you've been looking after yourself. On more than one occasion, my students have fallen ill due to neglecting their health, you know. I wouldn't want you to go the same way. Goodness, listen to me prattling on like some old worried mother. Well, I may not be your mother, but the rest still stands. I'm old, and I do worry about you. But never mind me. You're obviously in good health and spirits both. Now, while you were away, I took a closer look at the Golden Diata to determine what other parts may be faulty. The problem, it seems, is either the mammet's core or the mechanism controlling motor function. I've examined the core and it appears to be made from exceedingly rare minerals. I could find no gleaners willing or able to procure them, but I did manage to strike a deal with a merchant in the harbor. It will take time for materials to be delivered, however. Until they arrive, I propose we start with another rather important piece on our mammet puzzle. Your task is to craft the motor components required to support proper movement. This is far more complex than anything we have asked of you thus far. I sincerely hope nothing goes wrong. There's been so much worry of late. I fear there's insufficient time in the day to consider it all. The thought of overlooked troubles keeps me from sleep, and before I realize it, another day rises with a new set of problems. goodness, Borek, that won't do at all. Well, I suppose there's one more reason for you to do your best with this. I'm sure that would put Borek's mind at ease. Motor components. Let me know when you're finished. I fear poor Borek will struggle to sleep until the matter of his relic is resolved. Thank you. Fine work as always. This should fit our little friend perfectly. She's looking a lot better with that new part in place. We have still no replacement for her core, but let's see if she is at least capable of rudimentary functions. The golden diater moves a little more than before. You suspect it will be good as new once you replace its core. There's progress, Borek. Don't worry, we're making progress. Maybe slow, but we're definitely heading in the right direction. All that remains is to fashion a new core. I thought I told you to cease this ridiculous work of yours. To think the studium's resources are being wasted on such nonsense while my efforts to decipher ancient languages go largely ignored. You there, clumsy assistant. How have you not yet convinced her to stop this blunder of a project? You should understand better than anyone her colleagues' misgivings for this outlandish behavior. Well, I concede I do not share the professor's optimism for the potential of that thing, but as long as I'm her assistant, I will continue to support her in whatever way I can. Where does it Ki Aliapo thinks rather highly of you? For her to sing such praises, you must be an artist of remarkable skill. Yet for all your talent, it seems you still have much to learn about what work you should and shouldn't accept. Your gifts will go to waste if you keep humoring this old bag. Say what you want, but I think it's a job worth doing. Honestly, what a merry bunch of fools you all are. Do not think you can continue wasting studium resources forever. Is it just me, or did he seem to be in rather good mood today? Well, hopefully that wasn't too distressing for you. We simply need to keep at it. I'm certain our mammet friend will stir to life as soon as we get her new core. As always, your help will be indispensable. Rurusha is overjoyed with your efforts. She now considers you a rather good relic restorer. A new quest is now available. Level 90. Good. But I think I make a cut here and we continue this next time. Until then, I'm Mace and don't get lost.